welcome to Global Professionals in Portugal. Today, my guest is Keren Weinstein. She is the co-owner of Lionstripe, and they provide Wi-Fi for large environments. Keren, can you tell me, what does Lionstripe do exactly?
Yeah, so we are a managed Wi-Fi provider, which means we come in and install all the routers, the switches, the access points, and then we manage it all through our proprietary software that we've built since 2018. So this allows everyone to be in a property like co-working, apartment buildings, surgery centers. Everyone has Wi-Fi that works perfectly, regardless of if they're on a video, a heavy download, everything just works.
And it's secure, right?
When you go into a shared environment, a lot of times you have a wireless network and then a password that hasn't changed probably in about 3 or 4 years, because it is such a pain point to change passwords in these environments. And so when you log onto our internet connection, our networks, you have a username and password, which is a very high level of security.
It's great because we do financial services and all of our client data is secure. It's a very secure environment, so it's good.
The demands are higher for security now. I think we'll see a huge change in infrastructure in what these properties have to take that into account now. It's not just the Wi-Fi is an afterthought. It is a utility. It must work 24/7.
This is a business you have with your husband, right?
Yeah.
So when did you guys go from, say, working somewhere else to doing this?
Yeah, so we both met in the US, and he had an ISP there as well, where he built it up to a very large company. He sold his shares and traveled around the world, and we ended up coming to Lisbon. We never moved. We loved it here so much. And he actually started this company with another partner who lived in Los Angeles. And they had a really nice network. They got a lot of their friends and family to sign up and their networks. And we started realizing okay, this is really taking off. We don't want to go back to the US. So at some point I looked at him and said, can we do this in Portugal? And he was like, of course, we can do it anywhere. So I reached out to one of the co-working operators that I personally worked out of over LinkedIn. And I said, hey, we have this solution. We would love to talk to you and see if it's something you would be interested in or just get your feedback. When we met for a coffee, and they were our first client, and we serviced 4 of their locations. And it gave us the confidence to go into this new market. About 3 years ago, I decided I would be part of the company in this bigger capacity and go after the Portuguese market and take it for a ride and see how it went.
That's awesome. So now you guys do serve customers in the US and Portugal, is that correct?
It is correct, yes.
Okay, so do more digital marketing and sales to the kind of the US market and more in-person marketing and sales here in Portugal?
We actually do all word of mouth right now. Our clients are growing quickly. We work with developers we have 1,000 units coming online just from one client, one developer. So we are quite busy. One of our other clients was a corporate client that turned into a franchise model. So we will grow with them as the preferred vendor for Wi-Fi infrastructure. So in the US, we do no marketing. In Portugal, it's word of mouth. It's showing up at the networking events. It's reading news articles and understanding what projects are coming online and who's the best person to speak to. LinkedIn outreach has been really successful here. People are very open to speaking to us and understanding what we're doing. Especially now that we have really great clients here who are willing to refer us. In Los Angeles, when we had the ISP company, my husband's company, we serviced the Los Angeles market. These were all celebrity level clients. So doing it here in Portugal, our clients are just so grateful. I think that they were not expecting this level of service. Something interesting about Portugal versus the US is everything is done over WhatsApp. So you're build these deeper relationship over this chat messaging. They get instant service. They're quite happy with everything. And in this co-working environment, especially when they have clients that are sitting there waiting for their response, I think they're really thrilled to have us there in real time, quickly responding to it. And in addition, we show up when we say we're going to show up, and we resolve the issue. So it doesn't take a month or 2 months to fix something.
Do you like WhatsApp, or have you just got used to it?
I love it. I am so grateful for this channel of communication. meet people at networking events who are CEOs and owners of some of the largest construction companies in Portugal, and here they are giving me their WhatsApp. It's huge trust, I think, that you have instantaneously by giving someone your personal phone number. It's a very respectful way of communicating. And it's also, even though we're expecting an immediate answer, it's still understood that I will get to it as soon as I can.
I would say that is a number one tip if you're doing business here, is to get really comfortable with WhatsApp.
Never in a million years did I think I would be signing contracts using WhatsApp and emojis. We do sign contracts over WhatsApp, and they are responded to with emojis. And you have to get good with understanding how to communicate in short text. And yeah.
Now, you've done a ton of networking here. How is your Portuguese, or do you mostly network in English?
Yeah, I would say that would be my biggest regret, is not learning Portuguese better. I do everything in English just because it's easier. I can follow some conversations, but business in English is hard enough. I think doing it in another language would be quite tricky, but just out of respect, I think it's nice to learn the local language.
Most professionals with companies here, they're doing business across Europe. I've been to business events, and I always feel weird when there's a group of people speaking in Portuguese and then I come in and they all switch to English. Nobody's ever made me feel bad. It's just my own kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that everyone speaks English here and they're happy to switch into English. I just think it would be nice if I can just join in Portuguese. A lot of the panels that I go to that are around real estate are all still in Portuguese, which is a little bit hard to follow. So if there is like a slide presentation that goes along with it, take a picture of it and then translate it real quick. So there are ways to still follow, but that would be like the number one reason, is to just be able to join a conversation, not have everyone switch, and to follow along on the panels. Because I went to one last night in real estate that was all in English, and it was like so insightful. So I feel like I'm really missing out by not knowing the language proficiently.
Okay. You can grow your company and sell in English if you need to. So you do most of your networking in Lisbon, or do you travel around the country to connect with people in different places?
Most of it happens in Lisbon. I've been trying to get to Porto more often because there is so much going on there. And I also just really love being there and checking it out. Yeah, I went to a few events there in the last month. We have also been to the Algarve to meet with people in the universities just to understand the tech hubs happening there. And they were actually, a few of the people were at Web Summit. So I got to meet a few people I've met only over Zoom in real life. So that was also really nice. I think if you want to do business in a different area other than Lisbon, you have to physically be there. I think people still expect that and appreciate that.
So what other sort of survival skills would you say you've learned about networking in Lisbon versus networking in the US?
That's a good question. I think it can be quite intimidating if you walk into a networking event and you don't know anybody. I prefer to always go alone, but it's always nice to have someone, a familiar face. So if you can, try to meet people that network as well and go to similar events to arrive with them, or just to see a familiar face from time to time. It's always good not to stick by their side, because then you will not actually meet new people. So that's probably a good starting point if you're really not feeling comfortable. The second thing is, it takes practice. It's a skill. It's a skill you learn. It's not easy to walk into. It wasn't easy for me to walk into a room with people that I just don't know. So I always go for a glass of water or go around the food, because then you can just say hi really casually, asking people questions like, what brought you here? What's interesting about this panel for you? Who are you here to listen to? Just asking a lot of questions.
One thing that I saw you do that I find that I'm now adopting is, if there's a panel, and you will pre-research all the people on the panel and find the people that are most relevant to your business and try to meet them when you're there. How did you learn how to pre-screen and figure out who you want to meet ahead of time?
Yeah, so I think when we think about networking events, sometimes we think, okay, I'll go to 3 events per week, and it feels like you're working and it feels like you're getting closer to your goal. But if you're just going to events just to go, it'll be exhausting. Your business won't grow. You won't get sales out of it. You won't build relationships. So you have to be really specific in what is the goal of this event. A lot of times people ask me, hey, can I come with you to networking events? Or can you tell me which ones to go to? Do you know anything going on this week or next week? And my first question is like, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Who are you trying to meet? What are you trying to do here? So for us, we're really specific because I don't have a lot of time. I work a lot and I have a 6-year-old boy. So if I'm going to be gone in the evening, I want to make sure I'm meeting interesting people or driving the business forward. A lot of times the panelists for us are people that I won't come across in my daily life. So if I see an interesting panel, I'll look up the panelists and I'm like, oh, they would be really interesting to talk to after. Sometimes I don't get a chance to speak to them, but whoever they are, probably people that are coming to see them speak. We share similar interests. Always made such interesting people in networking events.
Having a goal when you're networking in any country really is a good goal. But I think here it's very much of a relationship-based business community.
Yeah, Portugal is a village. Like I still giggle every time like runs into me and they're like, I know this person, I know this person. It's really small. It's 10 million people, but it really does in the business area.
Mhm.
It's so tiny, which we're so grateful for. It's a really great community. If you do well, if you serve your clients well, they will be happy to refer you. Most likely, our client has referred us many times. Or they'll ask me, like, what are you going after now? What's your next move? And I'll tell them, they'll go, oh, I know someone that you should speak to. And when we go and meet this person, it's just a very casual coffee. They're not asking us technical questions. We're already vouched for just from that moment of interaction. It takes them time to refer, but once they do, their word means everything.
Keeping your word is so important here.
If you have a good reputation, it will take you a really long way. And I also find helping people, bringing people together I get so much joy out of connecting people. So for me, it's really fun. People always come and ask me, do you know someone for this, for that? It's always great to be able to refer people, anyone that's trying to do business here, especially.
Yep, be a connector. That's another really good tip. That web of relationships is very important here.
Take it really seriously to refer you. I think in the US, you'll be referred more often because people leave it up to you to vet the person at the end of the day. I think in Portugal, it takes a little bit longer to get referred. At least that was my experience. But once you are referred, I can see why. It's like you are in that inner circle. So there's an instant trust that if you came referred, there's no question. Where maybe in the US, you're being referred, but then it's up to you to still vet the person and understand, is this the right fit for us?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. What are some of the things that you have really loved about working from Portugal?
I love our clients. I think they are so awesome. They're so fun to work with. They're just always smiling. They're so grateful. We're so grateful. I think it's such a good relationship. I think it hit me. We were saying hello to an international client in one of our spaces, and they're not Portuguese, and we were giving like the kiss on the cheek. And one of I think it was the CEO, he came from a different country, and I've never seen a vendor say hello with a kiss to one of our things. And I was like, yeah, that is actually really special. Like it is a Portuguese way of doing business. You kiss on the cheek to say hello. Where in the US, you would handshake, maybe a hug once you know them really well. But yeah, here it is a really nice way of doing business, I think, is like you become friendly.
Like what's challenging here that maybe you were not expecting that you've learned how to overcome?
Yeah, I think if you're going to do business here, it moves a little bit slower than the US in my experience. So the contracts take longer to sign, meetings take longer. So from one meeting to actual contract signing, it does take a lot longer than the US. So you have to be prepared. And my friend made the best analogy. She was like, you guys take 2-3 hours to eat dinner. What did you think was going to happen in business? And I always think, yeah, she's right. You can't force it. You have to go with it. It is just part of doing business here and building that trust. We had to lower our pricing because we are on a monthly reoccurring fee. So we pay for all the internet equipment up front and the client pays us a monthly fee. This is a new model here in Portugal for managed Wi-Fi, where in the US it's been going on for many years. So to get them to understand that it is a monthly recurring fee that they're going to have to start paying us and understanding the value add there, that also takes a moment. You also have engineers at your fingertips, the support you get with that, you never have to worry about internet again. It's well worth it, but it just took a moment.
Allow time, be patient. Sounds like those are some of the
Yeah.
core
I think,
lessons learned.
yeah, and you have to be flexible in your pricing. The US pricing model is different than Portugal for good reason. Like the salaries are lower here. It is different. So if you think you're going to charge American pricing in Portugal, maybe you can, of course, but we had to lower our pricing and just do a different model and see how it worked. And we tweaked it a lot. We did different entry points. We did different things to understand the market. So it took us a moment to figure out what we could charge fairly and to make sure we bring enough value with that.
I think that's a great tip, is to take time to understand the market and try different things. You started your company before you moved to Portugal and then you expanded it here. Is that correct?
We started it while we were here.
Oh,
Yeah, we've lived here for about 7.5 years, I think.
okay.
Yeah.
So are there any challenges about starting a company in Portugal that you can share?
Yeah, I think we touched upon a lot of the challenges. I think finding reliable people has been also a pain point for us. Now we are in our growth stage, so we are hiring, but again, it's about your network. So if I'm looking for a specific person, like I did with you, just asking people for referrals, asking people who they know, usually that's the best way of overcoming that.
Yeah.
I think also paying people fairly and giving them an incentive to actually want to show up for work is important. A path to developing their own skills and their own ambitions and what they're trying to do.
Okay, great. So do you have any other final tips for people that are working in Portugal that you can share?
I think just have fun, come with an open mind, come with an idea of like how you can help the ecosystem instead of what you can take from the ecosystem. It's a really small one. It is developing. It's come a long way, and it's really important to get back to it.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All of the information for Lionstripe will be in the comments of this video. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And thank you all for tuning in.